In the frigid expanse of the north, beyond towering mountains and within deep, shadowed valleys, lay the formidable kingdom of Kaizaki. This land of relentless dryness and resilient people was ruled by King Maigida, a sovereign whose iron grip mixed merciless justice with unwavering authority. Unlike his forebears, Maigida's rule was marked by an insatiable hunger for power and pleasure. His choices, especially regarding his harem, broke tradition while enforcing his dominance. He selected his wives and concubines without hesitation, driven by whim and desire, leading to a palace teeming with women longing for his attention. The traditions of Kaizaki were both sacred and severe. The king was bound by an ancient mandate: he must never meet his first male heir. This heir, destined to ascend the throne, was exiled to another kingdom, raised away from palace intrigues until his rightful return. The mother of the first male child automatically became the head queen, a position fraught with pride and peril. Kaizaki's laws were ironclad, and the punishments for transgression brutal. King Maigida's word was law, his judgments unchallengeable. He led the kingdom's grand traditions with an unyielding feast, from the solemn fishing festival where the largest catch was his to devour, to the draconian punishments meted out for the slightest disobedience. The people of Kaizaki revered and feared these traditions, knowing deviation meant severe consequences. Despite his formidable presence, Maigida's personal life was chaotic. With 7 wives and countless concubines, he failed to balance his attentions, leaving many of his women in desperate longing. This imbalance festered unrest, with women burning with unmet desires, teetering on the edge of forbidden solace. Among them was Queen Bintu, the 7th wife, suffocated by her position and yearning for the king's touch. Desperation twisted into recklessness as Queen Bintu waited endlessly for her turn to lie with the king. Her yearning boiled over into a dangerous decision: she seduced Adamu, one of the king's trusted servants, to quench her carnal thirst. Adamu, despite being castrated by royal decree to prevent any seed from spilling, succumbed to Bintu's allure, his own suppressed desires overcoming duty and loyalty. Their illicit tryst, however, did not remain hidden for long. Discovered in the throes of passion, the scandal erupted, igniting the kingdom with shock and rage. The news reached King Maigida, whose fury was volcanic. He immediately summoned the chief priest and council of chiefs, demanding deliberation on the unforgivable betrayal. Though advice was sought, the final judgment was Maigida's alone. In the grand, foreboding hall of the palace, Queen Bintu and Adamu stood, bound and trembling before the king. His voice, a dagger of ice, cut through the tension as he addressed his errant wife. "Queen Bintu, my wife," he intoned with little calm, "you have 30 minutes to defend yourself against the charge of adultery. Speak." Bintu's voice, trembling yet defiant, filled the hall. "Your Highness, King Maigida, my husband, I am unworthy of being your queen or your wife. The moment I opened my legs and gave my honor to your servant, I sinned against you, against the palace, and our kingdom. I saw his manhood, and in my desperation, I was consumed by passion. Waiting for my turn to share your bed became unbearable. I burned with desire, and in my weakness, I lured Adamu to my bed. Please, your Highness, temper justice with mercy. Spare Adamu's life. Let me bear the full weight of our sin. Thank you, your Highness." The king's gaze, hard and unforgiving, turned to Adamu. "Adamu," he growled, "you have beaten the hand that not only feeds you but owns your life. A castrated servant, favored throughout the kingdom, yet you have pierced a sword into your master's heart. Defend yourself." Adamu's voice, broken and hollow, barely rose above a whisper. "Your Highness, the great king, I have sinned against you, the palace, and the honorable Kaizaki kingdom. Show your mercy, temper justice with mercy, and spare my life." "Thank you, your Highness." The king's deliberations with the council were swift and ruthless. The verdict, inescapable. Queen Bintu and Adamu, King Maigida thundered, "You are both sentenced to death." Your execution shall take place on the 4th market day, for all to witness your punishment and be warned. As the execution day loomed, pleas for mercy echoed through the palace. Some council members, touched by fleeting compassion, implored the king to reconsider. Their pleas were dismissed. The voices of the kingdom's women, a chorus of sorrow, petitioned the king, but their cries fell on deaf ears. The night before the execution, the king's 6 remaining wives and concubines knelt before him, their tears a river of desperation, begging for clemency. This final display of solidarity and love pierced the king's hardened heart. The execution day dawned, heavy with dread. The palace grounds were a sea of tense faces as Bintu and Adamu were led out, bound and resigned to their fate. The atmosphere was electric with sorrow and anticipation. King Maigida stood, a colossus of judgment, his face a mask of stoic resolve. As Bintu and Adamu knelt before him, the king's wives and concubines prostrated themselves, their cries for mercy a haunting refrain. King Maigida, moved by their despair, raised his hand for silence. Having listened attentively to the voices of wisdom, he began, his voice reverberating with authority, taking a cue from our ancestors, the elders, and finally my beloved wives and concubines. I, King Maigida of Kaizaki, accept your appeals. But not without a cost. He turned to Queen Bintu, his eyes burning with a mix of fury and sorrow. Bintu, you shall no longer be queen. You are dethroned, divorced, and banished from this kingdom. As for you, Adamu, though you were not meant to see the light of this day beyond sunset, I am a just king and will not visit you with the calamity of death. You are already a castrated man. You will remain Adamu, the servant, but not of this kingdom. You are banished, to leave Kaizaki before sunset, facing the east while Bintu faces the west. You shall never set eyes on each other again. These are your punishments and my final verdict. The crowd erupted in a tumultuous mix of relief and jubilation. Bintu and Adamu were unbound and sent on their divergent paths, never to return. The king's decision, though severe, was seen as a merciful compromise, preserving the integrity of the kingdom's laws while tempering justice with mercy. In the weeks and months that followed, Kaizaki slowly returned to its rhythm, the scandal of Bintu and Adamu fading into the shadows of history. King Maigida continued his reign, his authority unchallenged but his heart a fraction softer, tempered by the events that had transpired. The balance of power and desire within the palace remained a delicate dance, a testament to the complexities of rule and tradition in Kaizaki. Years later, the tale of the scandal and the king's judgments became part of Kaizaki's rich tapestry of law. Bintu, living in exile, and Adamu, wandering the lands beyond Kaizaki, became cautionary symbols of passion and folly, their lives forever intertwined by a moment of weakness. King Maigida's legacy endured, a complex blend of fearsome justice and unexpected mercy, shaping the destiny of Kaizaki for generations to come.
Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.